get it. 아, 북치기, 박치기, 북치기, 박치기, 북치기, 박치기, 북치기, 박치기, 북.
제가 여전히 지키고 싶은 건 그냥 우리가 같이 함께 행복하게 무언가를 할 수 있는, 그냥 저는 하나예요. 전 예투컴 가사에 다 들어있거든요.
There was a time when the words, "the best is yet to come," felt more like hope than certainty. In 2022, when BTS released Yet to Come, it wasn't just a song. It was a pause, a deep breath, a promise wrapped in uncertainty. Back then, none of us really knew how we were going to get through what came next. Military enlistments, silence where there used to be constant updates, 7 names suddenly becoming separate timelines. And yet, here we are. It's 2026. And somehow we made it. Looking back at 2025, it wasn't just another year for BTS and ARMY. It was the year everything started to feel real again. This was the year the military era, the chapter many of us feared the most, finally came to an end. For years, the words hiatus and military service haunted us. Not because we didn't trust BTS, but because we didn't know what time would do. Would things change? Would the industry move on? Would the world still wait? And the truth is, waiting wasn't easy. There were moments when it felt lonely being an ARMY. Moments when supporting BTS meant holding on to memories more than new moments. But 2025 reminded us of something important. BTS never left. 7 different paths, 1 promise. Even while enlisted, even while separated, BTS kept their promise. Just in quieter ways, through letters, through pre-recorded content, through music released months or even years after it was made. Each member walked a different path, faced different struggles, and grew in different ways. Some explored new sounds. Some discovered new versions of themselves. Some learned how to live outside the BTS schedule for the first time in over a decade. And yet, no matter how far apart they were physically, they kept saying the same thing.
지금까지.
자, 저희 어쨌든 건강하게 또 웃으면서 저희 웃으면서 잘 갔다 올게요. 진영 빨리 돌아와서 저희 빈자리 채워주시고 저는 걱정 말고 건강하고 행복하게 다녀오겠습니다. 저는 지금까지 방탄.
It's easy to say promises. It's harder to keep them, especially when the world is watching. BTS didn't just promise a comeback. They promised to come back together, after exhaustion, after burnout, after criticism, after pressure that no one their age should have carried alone. They promised not just to reunite, but to reunite healthier, stronger, and truer to themselves. And in 2025, we finally started seeing the results of that patience. From Yet to Come to now. When Yet to Come was released in 2022, it felt bittersweet. The lyrics weren't loud. The choreography wasn't intense. The message wasn't about breaking records. It was about reflection, about saying, we've done a lot. But our story isn't over. Back then, the military era felt endless, like an unknown tunnel with no visible exit. Many of us wondered quietly if things would ever feel the same again. Now, standing in 2026, we finally have the answer. Things aren't the same. They're deeper. After the military, a new chapter begins. When BTS officially completed their military service, something shifted. Not just for them, but for us. They returned not as boys who debuted young, but as men who had lived quietly, privately, and normally, even if just for a moment. There was maturity in their words, calmness in their presence, confidence without urgency. They weren't rushing, because they didn't need to prove anything anymore. They had already done it all. And instead of asking, what's next? They asked something far more meaningful. What do we want this next chapter to be? The announcement. On January 4th, 2026, that promise finally became official. Through a notice released by Big Hit Music, BTS announced what ARMY had been waiting nearly 4 years to hear. BTS would be returning as a full group. Their 5th studio album, their first in 3 years and 9 months, would be released on March 20th, 2026. And with it, the beginning of a new era. According to Big Hit Music, this album doesn't just mark a comeback. It's a reflection of everything they have lived through. The members were deeply involved in creating the music, pouring their thoughts, emotions, and struggles into 14 honest tracks. A heartfelt thank you to ARMY, who waited for them to return together. And then came the words that made it real. Following the album's release, BTS will go on a world tour. After years of distance, they're not just coming back with music. They're coming back to meet ARMY again. 2026 isn't just a comeback year anymore. It's a reunion. A reunion between 7 artists who chose each other again. A reunion between BTS and ARMY after years of distance. A reunion built on trust that never broke, even when tested. This time, they're not coming back to survive. They're coming back to live. To make music without fear. To perform without burning out. To stand on stage not as symbols, but as themselves. And maybe that's why this comeback feels different already. ARMY. We survived this too. This era wasn't only hard for BTS. It was hard for ARMY too. We learned how to support quietly. How to wait without guarantees. How to love without constant content. We defended them when it was tiring. We stayed when it was easier to move on. We believed when there was nothing tangible to hold on to. And that kind of loyalty changes you. So when BTS says they're excited to see ARMY again, it's not just fan service. It's gratitude. Because they know we walk this road with them. See you in 2026.
저희 앞에 무슨 일들이 펼쳐지더라도 저는 뭐 앞서 말씀드렸지만 그렇게 생각했어요. 방탄소년단 7명의 마음이 같고 또 여러분들이 저희를 믿어주신다면 저희는 앞으로 저에게 어떤 일이 있어도 굳건히 잘 이겨나가고 여러분과 또 행복하게 공연하고 음악 만들고 할 거니까 호석이가 얘기했던 것처럼 부디 믿음을 가져주시길 바라겠습니다. 네.
At the time, those words felt far away, almost unreal. But now, they don't feel distant anymore. They feel close. They feel earned. Maybe yet to come was never about the future being bigger. Maybe it was about the future being better. Better boundaries. Better balance. Better understanding between artist and fan. BTS didn't promise perfection. They promised honesty. And that's why this next chapter matters so much. Because it wasn't rushed. It wasn't forced. It was waited for. So as we step into 2026, this isn't just the end of the military era. It's the beginning of something intentional. 7 artists choosing to stand together again. Millions of fans ready to welcome them home. The worst is behind us. And for the first time in a long time.
오랜만이에요.
The best isn't just yet to come. It's almost here.
And this is not gonna be the last time. This is never gonna be.